Good morning. Welcome to the Health and Wellness Program. You're listening to Maree Gifkins. Well, the weather is changing and the world is changing, but we've got the same Prime Minister, so that's good. Something's stable. But, we are in interesting times, and I don't think that's going to change for a long time, actually, that's saying. So let's just have a little chat today about a few different things. So health and wellness is quite a broad subject. It's like, wow, I could talk about anything and everything, from bowels to eyes to fingers to different disorders and diseases and all sorts of things. So it is quite daunting. What do I talk about this week? So I thought I would start with our mouth. Hey, we use that a lot, whether we're talking or eating or snoring. It's like our mouth is quite an important subject, and a lot of people will say, our health starts in our mouth and with our teeth and our gums, and if they're not in good shape, that's going to have an impact on the rest of the body. So we do have to look after our teeth. I know we had I had a guest speaker a couple of months ago, Maree, and she was a dental hygienist. That was really interesting, and what she was saying. She's getting into ozone with the dentistry, which is just another way of fighting bacteria and disorders, more the pathogens, and the health of the gums and the teeth. So that was really cool having her here. I should get her back again, actually. She knows all sorts of different things, and she's from America, so that's interesting. Got a different twang, to listen to, apart from my twang. Actually, I'm still being told that I still have a bit of an Australian accent there. So I spent about 3 years in Australia, so I'll have to work harder at getting rid of that, I think. Little dig. So I spent 3 years in the outback, actually, in a town called Charleville, which is Queensland. And if you go Brisbane and then you hop on a bus and go directly in coast for about 16 hours, you will find a town called Charleville. It was kind of like in the middle of nowhere. In the middle of nowhere, where there was red dirt and kangaroos and even the flying doctors. So that was kind of quite interesting. But I did my time there, and I learnt lots of things, and the people were really kind of quite interesting. And so anyway, getting back to the teeth. So, over the years I went through a stage of getting rid of all my mercury fillings. And I think that was when all the children had left home, and I actually had a bit more money left in my wallet. And I thought, oh, what shall I do with this? What shall I do for myself? And it was like, okay, why don't you do the right thing, Maree? Instead of buying clothes and shoes and handbags and topping all that up, why don't you do something that's going to help your health for the long term? Looking at that bigger picture, in 20 years' time, 30 years' time, 40 years' time, 50 years' time, am I going to be a healthier person by having those amalgams out of my teeth gone? And so I chose that, the bigger picture, not the short-term stuff, and I invested a bit of money. And so I thought about it, and I planned it, and talked with the dentist, and I had a plan that every 3 months I would take one mercury out. And so that way I didn't want to do it all at once. From the reading that I had done then, so we're talking about 15 years ago, probably, when I did it, from the information that I had then and what I knew about mercury and heavy metals, was that you have to be very careful, and it takes time. And if you do it all at once and something is not quite right, you can get an overdose of mercury into the body, and then you've got a real lot of trouble trying to get it out. So I thought, right, I'm going to do this bit by bit by bit. And of course that split the payments as well, so that was always a bonus. And so leading into going to see the dentist, probably a week beforehand, I would start with magnesium, vitamin C, minerals, those were the main ones, and started dosing up really high doses into my body so that my body was ready to go when I was sitting there in the chair. There's no use going afterwards, oh, maybe I'll have some vitamin C or I'll have some magnesium. And so it was like my body was ready to go when I was in the chair. Now that morning, what I also did was I actually started talking. You might think I'm crazy, but I'm not. I'm actually a really intelligent woman. And it's just you've never heard this before, probably. But I actually talked to my amalgam tooth, where the tooth was that she was going to extract it. I started talking to the amalgam and I thanked it for being with me for so long, because we were going back to school days, 35 years it's probably been in my mouth. And so I started talking to the amalgam and I thanked it for being on this journey with me. I thanked it for looking out for me, that I was able to chew my food and get all the nutrients I needed. But it's time for it to move on. And so I'm going to release you with love, and I'm going to have a different kind of filling in there. So I sort of say this prayer and then talk to it while I was heading to the dentist. And I would get in there and she would do her thing and being very careful, and then put the new filling in, the white one, and away I'd go. And by the time we got to about the third filling to replace, she says to me, I love doing your amalgams. And I said, why is that? She goes, it's so easy. I just put the drill in it a little bit, or whatever it is they use, and it just pops out. It's like it's just ready to go. It's like, and I just looked at her and I thought, oh, should I tell her what I'm doing? And I thought, here goes. So I told her what I was doing, and she goes, well, it seems to be working. Carry on with it. Keep doing it. It's working. And it's just that acknowledgement that what you have in your body is sort of becomes one with you. And when it's time to be released, you acknowledge it and thank it. And it's time for it to move on. It's respect, isn't it? And if we have respect for our bodies, we're going to have respect for other people and other things that are happening. And even if there's changes, it's just being careful and gentle and kind to each other. And, it starts with ourselves, being kind and gentle and respectful for ourselves as well. We've been through some hard times in our lives. And, be nice to ourselves. Be kind. Give itself a treat. I'm not talking about McDonald's. A treat like having a massage, or having a bath with Epsom salts or Himalayan salts, doing something nice that will actually feed your body and support it while it's carrying you through this journey. So yeah, I carried on and got through most of the amalgams and pulled them all, I had them all removed, except for one. One stayed because it wasn't very old and it was quite a big one. She goes, no, you'll be fine with one. Well, time's moved on and it's got to the stage now that I'm looking at it. So I've booked in for next month to get her opinion. I think it's time for it to be gone and get another white one. And I don't know whether they're any better. We don't know for another 20 years whether what we're replacing them with is actually better than what we had. So I'm hoping and trusting that it is. All the information that's around is saying that it's better. So can only do what we think is right at the time, isn't that right? So that's something to look forward to. And I thought, I just remembered, what I was doing and, and why was I taking the vitamin C, and to build the body up and have the tissues ready for healing. The magnesium and the minerals. Whenever you have any metals, heavy metals in the body, to get them out, the body will bind it with magnesium or minerals, or both, and it will completely bind it so that it can be pulled out through the body. And so you actually use up a lot of magnesium and a lot of minerals. If you have a lot of heavy metals in your body, you'll use them up because the body's trying to get rid of as much as it can, and what it can't get rid of, it'll store. And it'll put it into the organs, and some of it can get up into the head area. It can just sit in joints. So heavy metals is quite an underestimated issue in our day and age and in our bodies. There is so much we just don't understand, we don't realise, and we're not told. They can do some testing, but they don't like doing testing with the hospitals and the doctors, and you say, can you do some heavy metal testing, some lead and mercury? What do you want that done for? Unless you've been really exposed and have had obviously high doses of something, they just don't want to go there, because it's so hard to get it out as well. And, you know, it proves that, you know, we are being exposed to a lot of metals that previously we weren't. You know, we were exposed to certain ones. Medical profession have always put mercury in medicines, you know. It's going back hundreds and hundreds of years. It's been around for a very long time. It's killed empires and kings and presidents and all sorts. So, you know, they have their elixirs of mercury, and this is your medicine, and, you know. And then you go home and you're supposed to have drunk a whole glass of mercury and water and stuff, and you go home and you're actually crazy. You go crazy and you annihilate your whole family. Geez, that sounds familiar these days too. That was happening back in the 1800s, where they had their magic potions for these white coat people, and then people were too afraid to go to the doctors because they were going to get whacked. That's what they called it. They were going to get whacked by the doctor with the mercury elixir. And so there's mercury in some of the medicines and some of the vaccinations and so forth. So we're getting stuff in our bodies that we really don't want. We're walking down the road and we're breathing in the fumes from the cars. We have copper pipes underneath the houses, the older houses, with too much copper coming through in the water. You know, I don't know if you remember, I know when we were living in Havelock North, we got letters saying, oh, do run the water for a couple of minutes first thing in the morning to allow, I can't even remember what metal it was, allow some metal to go through before you drink it and use it. And it's like, a couple of months ago, we got that in Waipakarau as well. We got this letter and it's stating, do run your taps for a couple of minutes, otherwise you could get an overdose of this metal. It's like, what? So, you know, there's stuff there, and if it's only in the first few minutes, hang on, what about the rest of the time? There has to be small amounts coming frequently. You know, we have a water purifier at our place and have done for many years, just so that I know that we're not drinking the chlorine and we're not having the heavy metals in the water. You know, we've had lead in the paint. We know that that's not good for us. They've changed that, thank goodness. But there's so many different heavy metals. We've got all the aluminium cans, you know, when we have our soup or peaches, or we open a can of baked beans, you know, it's all in aluminium. You know, there's got to be a certain amount that goes into the fruit and vegetables, and we ingest it. A little bit here and a little bit there and a little bit more. Then we're like 40 and we get a whole lot more here and a whole lot more there. And our bodies just can't cope with it, you know, continually bombarded. And then our kidneys get strained and our liver starts to play up a bit. So it can all sort of add up. So, you know, it's quite good to take some basic stuff just to continually help our body, you know, like the magnesium. You know, it's a very important mineral. Magnesium is one of the most important minerals. It helps so many things, not only the heavy metals, but the magnesium is what we call the happy pill. So I'm not meaning like depression, but it puts that spark back in your eyes. It puts that energy into your muscles so they can activate, they can move, we can do the jobs we want to do. It helps with the bowels as well. So it's very, and then it helps with these heavy metals as well. So the magnesium's quite an important mineral. It also helps you with sleeping if you're dreaming too much and heavy dreaming. Lots of dreaming and you're tired and when you still wake up in the morning and you've slept all night but you're just dreaming. It's quite often a sign of mineral magnesium deficiency. And then we've got, so that's a really good one for a little bit of heavy metal detoxing. And the other one is multi-minerals. And I'm not talking about 6 minerals. I'm talking about over 30 minerals. You need all the little trace minerals as well. So if you go to don't get supplements from a supermarket. You get what you pay for. They have fillers in them. They're cheap for a reason. You get what you pay for. Go to a health shop. You don't have to get the most expensive, but don't get the cheapest. Get that middle range. It's usually fairly good quality. But you want a multi-mineral that has more than 6 minerals in it. And you want all those little trace minerals. And that helps aid the body. We need all our minerals for all the foundations of everything in our body. It's all based on minerals. So if we need to build ourselves up, it's minerals is the foundation that the body will utilize to make this and that and the other thing, so that we become better and stronger. Children need the minerals. Where do we get minerals from? Vegetables. Don't get a lot of minerals from meat. It's we don't get a lot of minerals from potatoes and pasta and rice. There's not a lot of minerals in there. There's some, but we get a lot from the fruit and the vegetables. Back to basics, eh? Back to basics. Remember what we were brought up on as children. So the minerals are really important for heavy metal. As I said, it surrounds the heavy metal and then it's able to take it out. So what other sort of things can we do to help? Blueberries, particularly the wild blueberries. We don't have them. We don't have them growing in our country. I made inquiries as to whether we can import wild blueberry plants or seeds or something. Oh no, you can't have that in this country. Why not? Oh, because they grow like weeds. They'll just sprout everywhere. So they're trying not to bring it into the country. It's like, oh, shame, actually. Okay. So, but you can get them at the supermarket. They are frozen. They're in the frozen berry section, and they have on it naked wild blueberries. So they're a little bit smaller than the cultivated blueberries, but they have a pack of nutrients in them that are stronger than the cultivated. I'm not saying the cultivated is bad for you. I'm just saying if you're going to eat something, you might as well have the best, and you might as well have something that's going to have a really good impact on your body. If we're going to eat something, might as well just, you deserve the best. You really deserve the best. So blueberries, these wild blueberries, are very good for helping to pull the metals out. Another thing that's very helpful is, it's in my brain, hang on, I'm just getting the file out. It's the seaweed. And Pacific Harvest Dulse, it's the Dulse seaweed stuff. It's kind of purple, and you can buy it in flakes or very small compounds. And this seaweed is an amazing product. It's amazing natured plants in the sea, isn't it? That just grow like plants. And the seaweed has beautiful structure that has all these kind of like little spaces in it. And so when it's going through our body, if it picks up any heavy metal, it kind of like latches onto it and it holds it and it won't let it go. And so that's why the seaweed, the dulses, are really good, because it'll pick up and not let go. There's a few products out there that have been known to be useful for heavy metals, but in actual fact they actually will pick it up and drop it. And that's what we don't want. We don't want it dropped, because we don't want any heavy metals pulled from, say, the brain, and then it's dropped in our bowel, because then we're up for susceptibility of a different kind of problem. So you need things that are going to pick up these heavy metals, like the minerals and the magnesium, that's going to completely coat it and pull it through the body. Same with the dulse, it's going to grab it, hold on to it and not let it go. Even though sometimes, I was sort of thinking, oh, the seaweed, yeah, the sea is kind of poisoned now. There's lots of poison in the sea, and the fish are dying and the fish are mutating and changing, and we've got mercury in all the big fish now, and what have we done to this planet? And I was thinking, oh, is the seaweed really good for us? What if it's taking up, all these poisons, and then I'm eating it? But apparently they don't let go. So whatever it's got, it's not letting go. And I thought, oh, sweet, cool. Okay, this is good. So, I'm kind of an unusual person, I suppose, because in the morning I like my porridge. I'm a porridge girl. So I'll put about a quarter of a teaspoon of dulse flakes in my porridge. And I have a few other things in there. Turmeric. When I make my porridge, I put a bit of turmeric in there, about half a teaspoon. Licorice root. I put some licorice root in there, so that will go in, because licorice root is really good for the adrenal glands. Turmeric, we know, is an anti-inflammatory, so that's really good for the whole body. I've got a bit of the salt, the Himalayan salt, so that's got a little bit of minerals in there. And cook, and then I've managed to get off my milk and my sugar in the porridge, or my cream. No, I never put cream in. I don't like cream, so that was easy. But it was like, no, I don't want so much dairy. It's not so good on the mucus. So I managed to switch it to coconut water. So I put coconut water in my porridge, and that's a little bit of a sweetener, and it thins it down a little bit, so I don't need to put sugar in it. And then I've been getting my frozen blueberries and putting my frozen blueberries, or defrosting them, and then putting them in with the porridge. And it's and I put in a teaspoon of MSM. I'm telling you all my secrets, aren't I? People look at me and they go, "Wow, how old are you, Maree?" I'll tell them and they'll go, "Whoa, you don't look that old." It's like, well, you listen to me. You follow in my footsteps. So, we do have to play a part to this. If we want to live well and we want to age gracefully, we need to do things to support our body and build it up. And so the MSM is quite good for the immune system. Hey, we need that. That's a bonus. Blueberries are antiviral too. And the MSM is very good for the circulation, being the return blood. So we have you see the blue veins on legs. So that's your blue blood, the blue blood going back up to the body. And when it's blue, it means that the oxygen has been taken out. And it's the return blood. And the return blood always has all the stuff that the body doesn't want anymore. So everything it's used, or dead cells, or it's fighting an infection, and you've got all the dead cells from that, and maybe a bit of mercury and a bit of heavy metal and a bit of this and that, and all the waste from the cells. Then it goes into this blue blood, and then it's pulled back up through the body. And as we get a bit older, the blue blood can get a bit thicker, and maybe we don't drink as much water and so forth. And it's harder for it to come back up, and then we start to get things like varicose veins and bulging vein structures, and doesn't feel very nice sometimes, or it doesn't look very nice. But what also I found out with research, I'm always reading and researching. Someone asked me the other day, "Do you go to courses?" And I said, "Oh, I'm always researching. It just never stops. The more you learn, the more you realise you don't know," sort of thing. And I find it fascinating, and we're amazing creatures. And so with this blue blood coming back up, when we have enough sulphur, nobody talks about sulphur these days. When we have enough sulphur in our diet, the sulphur can go along the vein structure, and it becomes like, with two batteries, you have positive and a negative, and they will stick together. But if you put negative and negative together, or positive and positive together, they repel. So, and I can't quite remember which is which, but you'll get the gist of it. So the sulphur will come onto the structure of the veins and act like a negative. Don't quote me. It might be a positive. Either way, you'll get what I mean. And the blood is also, we'll say positive on the vein with the sulphur, and the blood is positive. So as it comes near the structure, it sort of repels it and pushes it and keeps it pushing up through the body. And so if we don't have enough sulphur, the blood can get stuck to the veins, and then it starts to get gunky, and then the blood just won't keep flowing as well as it should do, and we can get clots forming and all sorts of things. So all these things in our diet matter. It all matters, and it all adds up to healthy and being well and being able to do what you want to do in life. So, well, we've done well today, haven't we? That's been a cool conversation. Some of it's even been about me. But hey, it's all stuff to learn and stuff to understand, and why we're doing this or why we're doing that. You know, a lot of our fruits are antiviral. I don't know why they're not telling us, you know, to eat better, to look after ourselves. They just seem to be hooked on to what medications they can give us, and maybe what vaccinations can possibly be around, which is fine, but why aren't they telling us to eat well and eat good food and exercise and, you know, just that well-being? I'm not too sure why they're not promoting all of that, but I'm promoting, and I'll help you out. And if you need some advice, or you need to come and see me, or you've got an area that you're struggling with in your body, come and see me and let's talk it out and make a plan and get you right and back on track again. So if you'd like to ring me and get in contact with me, my phone number is 0272 495090. So that's 0272 495090, and I'm in Hastings on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, and Waipakarau on Monday and Friday. Thank you for listening.